So that helped me realize how my uncertainty has caused me, one, to not trust myself, to lose faith in myself and my ability to be a competent human being and move through life. And then it reminded me of how my that past on and off relationship with this other person who I've been on for 4 years, how I put so much hope into that relationship, and I disappointed myself. I disappointed her. She disappointed me so many times that I had kind of given up hope in life to a degree. So now I'm kind of just pivoting a little bit, but I also want to come back to your point, right, about the similarity. So I realized that I have been going through life to a degree without hope. Welcome to episode 6 of Building Consciousness with the Jaguar and Jay. On this episode, we dive into what it means to set clear boundaries, especially when dealing with our divine feminine woman. What it looks like when we don't, when boundaries get blurry, and the type of chaos that it can cause in our lives. This episode is really good. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. I would love to dive more into this, right? This idea of clarity around being friends with women and not going too soon, and how that's changed things for you, because I've definitely noticed a shift myself as well, somewhat similarly, where I might have been entertaining too many people romantically, like when I was younger, and now like designating, okay, this person is a friend, this person, right, I'm focusing on romantically, but because there's integrity and there's established boundary, I can still have a friendship. There's no confusion, still walk in integrity and still have this beautiful romantic connection over here. And I feel at peace and I can move and I can flow in all of it. And there's nothing to hide. There's no drama. There's no trauma. Everybody's happy. Everything is flowing.
No trauma. I love that.
Yeah.
There's no drama. There's no trauma.
Right. And then
That
when
would all
it's
need to be
not that,
weird.
how chaotic things can be.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that resonates for you, but maybe sharing what it's been like for you when you haven't had those boundaries, when you haven't been clear, how that maybe affected your life as a whole, and maybe just emphasizing more the difference you're seeing now.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. I could talk about this for quite a while. This could be potentially the whole podcast.
I love it.
So I've gone back and forth between having super clear boundaries and no boundaries. Sometimes it's just been portions of my life, and sometimes it's just been like the individual. So if I roll it back to like really early dating, there was a woman that I dated twice, and she was kind of the only person that I ever dated twice. Dated before college, dated during college, and we were friends, and then we were more, and then we dated a little, and then we didn't, but then we were still more. But there was always something that never quite fit, never quite worked. And it wasn't up until the point that we both recognized and fully recognized that she's gay that it then was like, right, okay, this isn't going to work. But like, we never really established this clarity of what we truly were to each other or to other people for a very long time up until this point. And then it was just, yeah, you're gay. Cool. And then the boundary was made for us. And then the friendship was really able to just be this nice friendship once that was established for. So it was probably, I would say, one of my first experiences of a boundary being made, but wasn't even one that I consciously made. I had been friends with women for most of my life, but for a lot of those friendships, they were these mixed, like I was attracted to them. They knew it. They might have been attracted to me, but they were kind of using it more as like an ego boost. They were really that interested in me. And those kind of situations happened to me plenty when I was younger. And as I got a little older, I learned and I got a little bit more charming. I got a little bit more attractive. I loved flirting when I was younger. And so I really indulged in that for a long time. And I built that muscle of flirting. But then there were almost always people that I saw as, no, this is just a friend. And those were very clear to me. But because I never really had boundaries for the majority of people, women that I was around, it was really hard for people to believe and understand that and take that seriously. It was always, oh, yeah, sure, you're friends. Okay. Even when it truly was, because I didn't have boundaries regularly. So fast forward, let's see, what's a good next example? Fast forward to then when I'm married, I had established this in a way of like, hey, by the way, I need to tell you early that like I'm bisexual, I'm non-binary, and I'm non-monogamous. But I know that I want to be with you. I just feel that if I really try to do monogamy, it's not going to work out. So I'll probably need to be non-monogamous at some point in the relationship. Like I set it up that way in this hopes of being able to have an open relationship. But we didn't open a relationship that way. So like again, I started this relationship with really weak, shitty boundaries. And while we did monogamy just fine for a very long time, eventually we opened the relationship. And then there were some leaky areas, some leaky boundaries that we really hadn't established. There were some people that we were okay with hooking up with together, but we hadn't established we shouldn't alone. And then like I crossed that line. It's like, well, I didn't really know. I didn't really understand. Fast forward even more after the divorce, I recognized, okay, that's not something I want anymore. I don't want to ever be in this non-monogamous poly situation ever again. And then in the divorce, I get really close with a friend who's now one of my closest friends, who we had both been married. And then I got divorced. And then like 6 months later or so, she got divorced. We got much closer during that period because of her friends. I was the only one who had been divorced. So I was the only one who really understood what she was going through. A lot of the other friends, they, in ways, it kind of rolled their eyes at what she was going through internally and was just, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it for various reasons. But that was kind of the attitude that she perceived and didn't feel supported. So we got a lot closer. But we always were very clear. We're just friends. Yeah, she's pretty. She's fun. And like we have a lot of fun together, but neither of us ever had that interest in each other. And so we've even had the conversations around it. What if we did? What if we could? And it was like, yeah, we could, but I'm not interested in that. That's really not what this is. So that's always been this nice, clear friendship. And then fast forward a bit more, I date someone else and I'm very clear with her. I do not want to be in an open relationship. I just want to be monogamous. But she's worried about my history with non-monogamy that I won't be. So she's very worried about that. But there wasn't the clarity around there wasn't enough clarity, I guess, and enough dedication from me on my side to just really be like, look, no, you are it. And I guess it shows that there wasn't that clarity because then when we were getting through the worst parts of the trouble and I pushed her away, I broke up with her and I went to somebody else, that was a very clear sign to her. Well, what the hell? You weren't really all that dedicated if you just went and ran to somebody else so quickly, you know? Fast forward even more, I've been in this space of just wanting to be with someone. And like, it's led me to looking for someone in like everyone, you know? And that's led to me dating a couple people and like thinking like this could be right. And then ending up hurting them when I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm like, no. And thankfully, I've gotten better at recognizing it. So I'm doing it as early as I can. I'm pulling the plug as early as I can. So that way it's not 5, 6 months down the road, but it still wasn't great. It wasn't ideal. And so now it's finally brought me to this point of clarity of, look, had I gone for a friendship with the woman that I dated last, which she kind of pitched, and I volleyed that shit down so fast. I was like, no, I don't want to be friends with you. I want to be more than that. I don't want to just be friends. Had I taken it though, and we had really like taken the time to be a friend, have a friendship, A, the relationship in general would have been completely different had it happened. But B, the relationship may have never happened, and all for good reason because we would have just taken the time to really understand each other and really get to know each other to build from that. And so after her, I was okay, that's what I want to do, but I didn't really dedicate myself to it until I briefly saw a woman. And once again, I just dove in too deeply, too fast, not really fully recognizing that pattern within myself. And then after that went south, I was able to again see another big piece of myself. I'm really not doing a good job of establishing a friendship and letting that lie right there. But more recently, like there have been some people that I've been interested in and intrigued by. I've even gone and hung out with them one on one, but in very much just that, hey, let's go do this as friends kind of way. No romantic advancement, not paying for their stuff and things like that. Just simply, just let's go hang out. Let's spend some time together. Let's get to know each other. And then if something comes up through us getting to know each other as friends, if feelings come up, I mean, not if something happens, because that there needs to be clarity around that. But if feelings come up, okay, cool. Let's address that when they come up, not just this, I'm intrigued. Let me pounce on this because I'm intrigued. It's only just like find out what this is as deep as possible right now. And what I see that as hopefully leading to is that I'm fostering these beautiful friendships that will be able to help me develop as a person down the road because each of them hold their beauty as people, as a friendship. One person that she's really cool. She likes just doing random things and like she didn't feel like she got to do that much as a kid. So now in her adulthood, she's like, I'm picking this class to do because it's something that just seems cool. So I'm going to go do that thing. That's inspiring. I love that. That's really cool. This other person is like a little bit more into like the spiritual world, a little bit more into some worlds that I used to be more into, but probably completely moved away from. Well, just only time will tell. that just brings other dynamics in. That's like, all right, cool. But all these things, all these people, if it just ends up as a friendship, that's fucking awesome. And the freedom that I finally feel from seeing it that way is crazy from how I used to feel, because since I was such in this mode of I want to be with somebody, I want to have a relationship, that's how I was seeing everyone and thinking that everyone was seeing me, for better or for worse. Are you interested in me? And then that would either make me more adverse to trying to get to know them or make me more attracted to get to know them. But then there was always that track in the back of my mind that half the time, if not way more than half the time, likely was not true. But there was already this built narrative that would color the entire experience of just getting to know them. And so I've looked back over the last 5, 6 years and recognized that like there's a lot of really awesome people that like I've probably really botched a friendship because I had this narrative of like, you like me? And then I either loved that possibility or I really didn't like that possibility. And I reacted accordingly rather than just like, you're a human being on the earth with me in the same time. Let me get to know you. Leave it
Yeah,
that
man,
simple.
love a lot of what you just said. And I think, again, I see so much of myself in you when you speak. For myself, I think I intentionally blurred those lines because I got friend zoned so much growing up. I went from public school to where like I did had I mean girlfriends in middle school and elementary school. I mean, if that counts for anything, but where I was seen as an attractive man to go in a private school to where girls and guys sat at different tables. The boys were still playing with Pokemon cards in public school. We stopped doing that 4 or 5 years before. And to where I went from being a preference in public school to where like, I don't even know if guys and girls like each other. And then going through the phases of seeing other people dating and not feeling wanted and not feeling desired and wondering what's wrong with me and what do I need to do and then overly compensating for it because I wanted to be chosen instead of me choosing myself. And so that was me in high school. That was me in college. That was me in my early 20s until I found the right space for myself, until I started finding myself a little bit more. And honestly, I would argue like there's certain people that would argue that, I probably struggled with that to a lesser degree into my early, as a matter of fact, the relationship that really helped me to really see this and really start working on it was I think I mentioned to you that the girl I dated on and off for 4 years, the Colombian girl, right? We met and we just had this instant connection on a trip to Sedona. And it was like I never had a connection that strong before. Like when people talk about falling in love, my heart literally jumped out of my chest. And I fell in love with this woman, and you could not tell me like, this wasn't supposed to be my person. So when she said, I want to be your friend, I was like, you must be crazy. Are you not feeling what I'm feeling? Do you not see this connection? We're both in sales. We both like to take care of ourselves and be fit. We both love God and we both have a similar vision for the type of business that we want to have. Like I said, mine was to help guys and hers was to help girls. Like we're so aligned in so many very, very unique ways. And we met on a trip to Sedona that I had put together, which is so cool. And I used to work with her brother. So all these things were lining up. And to me, oh, this has to be a romantic situation. Looking back at it, had I listened to what she was actually saying instead of just being so caught up in my narrative, being friends, truly being friends would have been the better route because we blurred those lines. Like I tried to force it. I tried to force the seduction. I mean, of course there was at some point she consented, right? But my point is like I was trying extra hard to make it not just a friendship and like even degrading myself or being like, well, hey, look, if you don't like it, we can just go back to being friends and devaluing myself to make it as risk free for her as possible and not even valuing myself because I wanted this idea of being with her so bad that I was almost willing to do anything for it and literally lost myself a few times in that connection. And so not only did me blurring the lines with her hurt my relationship with her, it also was hurting myself the entire time when she was upfront about how she felt. Don't get me wrong, it does take two people, right? So that was one situation, and that did not end on the best note. But fast forward to there was actually
Before you fast forward, I just want to throw in
yeah,
there. I feel like we had the exact same relationship, by the way.
I'm not surprised, bro. I'm not surprised, man. I'm telling you, when I met you, I was like,
Uh,
this guy, it's like a mirror here, man. Man.
For real, in so many ways. I'll get into the details in a minute. I don't want to
Yes.
stop you, but I just want to throw out
Okay.
there, like, I'm listening and I just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, bro.
we
Yeah, bro.
experienced the same relationship.
Was it the same person? I don't know. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Maybe like we were the same person, they were the same person at the
Right?
same time,
Right?
and there's those moments
That's
of life.
crazy.
Like, whew.
So this other person, also, beautiful Colombian girl, Colombian Moroccan girl, I met her around that same time, but because I was involved with this other person, I didn't even feel like I had space for another spiritual person who I was super connected to. I was like, this is too much. Deaded that. But fast forward to she had recently reached out to me. This is the person I told you about last week. And she reached out to me at a time where I was technically single. I was in a weird space with something else, which I also got clarity on. But we had basically agreed on this other situation that okay, we are two single people that are allowed to talk to other people. Not what I wanted, but that's what the agreement we came to. So this person I met years ago, calls me up. She's a very spiritual person. Like I'm talking about, she has been similar to Kevin. She's been seeing other beings in spirit since she was a kid. She's been astral. She actually wanted to come on this podcast, which we maybe will still do that. She has been astral traveling since she was a kid, has gone way beyond Reiki. Like when I tell you this girl has done healing modalities that I can't even give you a name for. If you remember the movie Green Mile, where the guy was like, yeah, take away people's pain and then like cough it up out of it. Like she literally has done that to me several times. Doesn't even have to be in person, it could be remote. So she calls me, right? And it had been years since we last spoke. And she was like, Jay, I know it's been like forever, but I had to call you. Like I got a message I had a dream about it and everything. I'm supposed to tell you that there's this book. I'm not supposed to, I can tell you the book, but I'm not really supposed to tell a lot of people. But she said, if you tell people before they're ready, it'll throw off their trajectory. Because there's an idea of like getting something before a person is ready for it. Anyways, maybe I'll tell you offline. So she told me this book and she was like, I had a dream about it. It's going to change your life, right? You read this book, you got to get it now. Bro, it was very complimentary and similar to the book I told you about, How to Do All Things. It even starts with how to. The title starts with how to. It's just like, when I tell you it was perfect for my soul, I understood it. It just helped me to really more fully, it flowed everything else I had been reading. Like that was a precise message for me. And had she had called me before me and this other person had decided that, okay, we're going to take a step back to figure some things out, I wouldn't have even taken that call. The timing was uncanny, man. And then so now that being said, so I get a call from this person who tells me about the perfect book for me, who has done a crazy healing for me. Like, also too, we're having a conversation and she could feel that I had been struggling with jealousy. I told you about this, right? So I've healed layers of this, but she could still tell Jay, she's like, that's what's holding you back more than anything. Your jealousy. You gotta let that go. You gotta let this go. And I told her, like, I've been doing my best, I've been healing it the best that I can, et cetera, et cetera. Bro, as I'm speaking about it, I feel it coming up and I feel it releasing. And I felt her energy. I said, this person's name. And I said, are you healing me right now? And she said, yeah. She was literally taking away my jealousy as we were speaking on the phone. Bro, what? Or like what? Like I need the fact that that's possible is amazing. Number one. Of course I believe because I'm in the healing space myself, but to see that level of skill and mastery is wild. Anyway, so for myself, I'm like, wow, like there's confusion because now here's someone who's very spiritual. Here's someone I know we have a really deep connection. I'm kind of figuring something out elsewhere. Like, what does this mean? What is this? So it did cause some confusion for a few days, definitely for a few days. And it was throwing off my life a little bit because I spent all this time and things are going great. Things are going great at work. I'm really on point with a lot of things, but I'm now feeling kind of confused. Like starting to see with other areas of my life. I'm like, okay, like, I need to get clarity on this, right? So talk to this person, really deep conversation, talked about everything you could think of. And knowing that it's a deep connection, a beautiful connection, and that it could be more, I think we just got to a point of, I think we're meant to be friends. Generally friends, like playing out all the ideas, all the scenarios. So that did a lot of things for me. One, it gave me peace. Two, it allowed me to show up at work the way I want to show up, fully engaged, fully present, on top of my tasks, taking care of the small things, the big things, think creatively. Three, it allowed me to find clarity in my other connection and really be there with that, which I had been doing for a while and not question that. because of this amazing connection that came out of nowhere, right? And now having this, even my pastor talks about it too, this idea of like having proper relational alignment in your life. People may be in your life, but they might not be in the right role or position. And when it's the right role, the right position, the right proximity, then you can move more effectively. And so by me doing that, bro, like, it has made, oh my God, I can breathe again. Life is good. It's like, okay, thank God. And one of the books that I was reading, it talks about too, things could be going well for a really long time. And I might, or a person might make a decision that causes some chaos or causes a person to go from here vibrationally to start going down here, go lower. And it's don't get discouraged. Don't judge yourself. Don't beat yourself up over it. Just kind of think back, like, what decision was it that led to you going from here to here? If you could kind of understand what that was, and it'll just help you to more easily bring it back up here. And so when I realized, okay, yes, I lost clarity and I'm thinking about bringing in like this other energy, that's not, once I found that clarity, bro, it was like everything reset. And like now I feel like, okay, well, here's another thing too. So in part of my not having clarity, it also brought up that it helped some of my old patterns. I've done this before where I've been uncertain in my relationships and I kind of go back and forth with the girls. Fucking hated it, man. I've ruined so many relationships with women going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, saying I want this, but then pulling back, saying I want this, but I really want this, then saying no, actually I really don't. And I have hurt so many people, including myself. And I'm sorry if you happen to be one of those people watching this, but it's been something that started when I was a kid with my mother, and she would question every decision I made, and so I started not trusting myself. That's where it started. Me not trusting my own decision making ability, and that, me having to heal that mother wound. Anyways, coming back to this, okay, so the uncertainty. So that helped me realize how my uncertainty has caused me, one, to not trust myself, to lose faith in myself and my ability to be a competent human being and move through life. And then it reminded me of how my that past on and off relationship with this other person who I've been on for 4 years, how I had put so much hope into that relationship, and I disappointed myself. I disappointed her. She disappointed me so many times that I had kind of given up hope in life to a degree. So now I'm dipping a little bit, but I also want to come back to your point, right, about the similarity. So I realized that I have been going through life to a degree without hope, and that and without faith. Ironically, the woman that I am dating now, her name is Faith, but I had lost my hope, and at some level I couldn't even conceptualize what it meant to have faith in myself and in whatever in myself relationally with the rest of life. So check this out, bro. I'm actually connecting with Archangel Michael, who is Archangel Michael, the protector angel, the guardian angel. Well, not guardian angel, but he's known for, like, there's a negative energy coming in and clearing out the negative energy. He's known for cutting cords, cutting. I know Danny Morell does Archangel Michael prayer where he like cuts cords or whatever's not serving you. But he's
Mm.
also the angel of, or one of the angels for faith and courage and leadership and truth. And I was just meditating with him. And bro, no, I wasn't even focused on him. I was just sitting right where I'm at now. And I have a little figurine of him over there. And I felt this energy, and I'm feeling like the idea of like of seeing blue light, like in my third eye type of thing. And I'm feeling this healing coming in, bro. And it's like, I know it's Archangel Michael, and I know that he is helping me heal the hope that I had lost, healing the hope that I lost with this on and off 4 year relationship. And I'm seeing where I lost, like at what points I lost the hope, and the hope is coming back. And I used to think of, why would anybody want hope when you have faith? Because hope is the idea of maybe it will happen, maybe it won't. This is the idea of, I know it's going to happen, but it's just a matter of when. Here's what I realized, right? If you're listening to this, if you're at a point where there's no hope and there's definitely no faith, there's just a point of maybe feeling depressed or down and not being able to see the light. Hope, to me, is a stepping stone to faith. It's, if I could just have an ounce of hope of maybe it is possible, maybe it is, oh, maybe this can happen. That's not a bad thing. And then once I get there, then I can eventually get to the point of, it's only a matter of when this thing is going to happen. So I was like, oh, wow, blew my mind. Yes, hope is also important. Hope will help you get to faith,
Yeah.
right? Faith is where I always want to be. But if I'm not there, if I can get some hope, I know I can get to faith. And so
Hope.
all that,
Yeah, I guess if I
please,
can
please,
say as well,
Austin.
like hope being no, don't stop. I just want to like this one there. Hope being that thing that when you're in a dark or difficult time, that knowledge that things can get better and they have the ability to get better and faith being that knowing that they will, no matter how it's going to look, even if it doesn't look the way you thought it was gonna. So just the hope I can and faith that it will, and the releasing of what it's going to look like.
I love that, bro. But yeah, I mean that was basically what I was gonna say, man. Just kind of relating to your story of not having clear boundaries and kind of what all that can lead to and bring up. It just really makes me want to even more just like double down on having that clarity, having proper relational alignment. I'm so glad that me and the person from my past who reached out to me this time around go strong connection, spiritual connection, and then jump to romantic. Like, cause that would have gotten messed. I would have hurt like a few people in that situation. Luckily, we're able to like be mature about it. Oh, like, okay, yeah, this is a friendship. And like, it also helped me to value what, I was working through elsewhere, even though it was completely along the lines for me to have this conversation. It was a learning point of, I don't know, I was just proud of how I dealt with that versus how I handled that in the past.
I love how life
So,
has a way of bringing things forward to you to kind of like check in with where you're at. Somebody who stepped back into my life relatively recently is somebody from the past who there were blurred lines with on both of our parts. And it led to some confusion and it led to a bit of pain, but we were able to move past that confusion and pain. But we just simply hadn't seen each other in quite a while. And now they're back in my life. And right now, yeah, I could take things one way and try for something with intention, or I can just simply be there for this person as a friend, be there for her as a friend. This last time we saw each other, that's was all my intention was. And it led to a really beautiful conversation where I found out a few things about her journey over this last year and a half or so that my heart just really went out to her. And I'd be such a creep and such an asshole if I were to try to press something because of what's going on in her life. And it brings like to my mind how often we're doing stuff like that. We as men, I say like the royal we as men,
ooh,
and
talk about it.
and the me specifically. How many times have I done that where I didn't really understand, or maybe didn't really, yeah, probably just didn't understand what it truly meant for women to be vulnerable, are
Ooh.
vulnerable. Because when I think of vulnerable, I think of a bunny sitting in the wood and like there's a hunter after them, or like or a predator after them. I think about it in just a very like meat and potatoes kind of way. I don't really think of it. I have really ever thought about it before in the much more like practical and human way of that, like, vulnerability being this like desire to be open and safe and like just fully being with someone without any kind of like expectation. In that vulnerability, you create this rapport and you create this intimacy, but that's all it needs to be. But I think I had lived in such a space of, do you like me? I think you like me. I want you. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be with this person, which I think
Mm-hmm.
so many people are in, that anyone opening up to be vulnerable looks like an invitation for something. It seems like this
Woo!
whole, I want more. There can be more. Maybe there could be, but slow it down. Take your time. Because I mean, I can look back and recognize that there were some people that I've been with that, yeah, well, it was good. Or while we both were there and we wanted it to happen, I also could have been the person to say, no, probably not the right time. Or probably not a good idea. We're probably not in a healthy space to do this. And in retrospect, I can see that. Like, yeah, neither of us were in a healthy space. Or they would bring it up. Like, yeah, neither of us were in a healthy space. Like, so why not we just like start it there? Let's take everything slower and really just get to know somebody for who they are. Beauty is fantastic. Yeah, sure. It's great. Sex appeal is amazing. Sure. It's great. But my favorite relationships from the past, my favorite times of having sex was always when I had a solid like friendship with them, a solid connection with them, and I really felt like in tune with the person, you know? And then like the most disappointing sexual experiences was always when it was just like something like quick and like meaningless. And that's always like how it's been. Like when there was nothing behind it, it was all right, cool. We masturbated together with each other. But when there's really something there, it's just so much more beautiful. And so I've just recognized that like I've rushed in so many times. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't want it. And now I'm in this space of like reprogramming my entire system basically to see every woman in this kind of sister space and regard every friendship with a woman in the same way that I have with this other woman that I mentioned earlier, that we've always had this clarity of we're just friends.
Mm.
That's always been what it is. We've talked about it, we've had that clarity. And so now I'm reprogramming my entire system to start with that as the default and then go from there. And so far, it's been really cool. It's been really nice because I feel so much less pressure. I don't feel nearly as worried if like someone does or does not get back to me. You know, the woman I mentioned earlier that, you know, like we're talking to get to know each other, you know,
Yes,
to see if
yes,
there's a
yes.
friendship. We were supposed to talk right after we get done recording, and she had some other things come up and she messaged me and like check in, just let me know like these things come up and wanted to check in, make sure I was okay with that. You know, I was like, of course. Yeah. I respect that.
Mm.
Like she told me like how she was feeling and what she was doing. I was like, yeah, of course. Do your thing. We'll talk again another
Uh,
time. I don't feel in any way possessive because it's just the intention of getting to know, intention of
that's
seeing
beautiful,
what's
man.
there. And if something's there, cool. And if there is nothing romantic there, I have a friend. And I think that's all.
I think that's a beautiful thing, valuing the friendship. And before I even tap more into that, what was coming up earlier for me when you were speaking is the importance of creating a safe space as a man, as a divine masculine man, as a man in this world, in this crazy world, as a man at a time when there's racism, sexism, countries might be going to war. Who the F knows? People are losing their jobs left and right. Like, yo, the value of having a safe fucking space, man. The value in that for myself, of me creating a safe space for me creating relationships that are safe for me, and spreading that as men, the intentionality as men and as a collective masculine energy of creating a safe space. Like, what type of world then we do have if all men have that type of intentionality? We're going to create a safe space. Right. It doesn't mean you can't be sexy. That doesn't mean you can't have sex. It doesn't mean there isn't a time for seduction or it's time to play or time to explore a woman and have that romantic connection. Right. But it's giving it time to see if that's even the best route. Is that going to cause more damage? Is there true alignment? Is there true compatibility? Am I really attracted to this person? I might be attracted to him on day one, but what happens when the makeup comes off? What if they wear wigs? What if they don't? How do they look? How does their breath smell in the morning? I don't know. All these different things. How are they? How are they socially? Do they switch up? How do they treat me around their friends? All these different things that can play into
Yeah.
it. It's like creating that safe space. And that's so important because then I have the most fun in spaces where I feel safe. I'm the most myself. I'm the most authentic when I feel safe. And so letting that be okay. I know my fear for creating a safe space. I used to read a lot of pickup stuff, like how to get women and stuff. And it was lots about being edgy and like a lot of toxic actually advice, how to speed things up, how to, you know, keep a girl on edge and uncomfortable, those different things. And it all fed my fear of being put in the friend zone. But now there's been so many times where I over sexualize myself because I'm supposed to be a man. I'm supposed to sleep with the girl, all these things that I'm supposed to do that I kind of aligned myself with at the time that just didn't lead to my actual happiness and joy. And now when I had a birthday party here in Jersey and a few of my homegirls came and some of these girls are lifelong friends, married, one has a fiance. And like that was so dope to sit there with her fiance, with the husband and just like, yo, this is when my lifelong friends have that clarity. They've seen me in middle school. They've seen me like when I was friend, like they've seen all different sides of me, like, yo, and that's my friend. And I know they have my back, you know, to a degree, I know they have my back. And like, that's so dope. And then I think about the times where I may have violated a friendship somewhere or whatever it was. And I know I created a space that was no longer safe. There's one who she was like my best friend. We were definitely soulmates, at least at the friend level. And she may have liked me, but I messed it up. So, okay, so I'll tell a quick story. Here's where I didn't have clear boundaries and clear lines. I met this person. Okay, that's weird. I don't need to tell that part. Okay, I will. Okay, let's fucking story
You
time.
brought it up. You brought it
Okay,
up.
so this person, her name was Jen Daniel. For watching this, wow, I apologize.
Dropping that whole name, full government
So
name.
yeah, man, look, man, she was so dope and like, and we had so much pure, innocent fun, right? I remember I was 14. This is how it started was weird. I was 14. She was like 11. I was like a camp counselor. She was like a camper. Fucking weird. I know. And okay, of course, nothing then. And then I remember fast forward to like, it would come weird. I know. weird. She would come and play basketball in my high school, and I would see her, and I was, older and stuff. So fast forward to I'm a senior and she's a freshman and I'm about to go into college. And so it's the summer of me going into college. And like I got invited to a party from someone from my school. She's there and like, yo, what the fuck are you doing there? It's like, what are you doing here? And so it was this weird thing. There was just like this love or whatever. And so the flirtation turned into whatever. So we flirt with the idea of like, would it be like to date each other? And it was just like, actually, she friends on me, right? She friends with me. So for 10 years, but I was like, she was such a good friend, Jaguar. Like we had so much fun. We go to parties. We take a party that was dead and it was me, her, and another friend, Mariella. It was the three of us. We were all Aquariuses. We were born like not that, but we were all born within like the same week of each other, okay? When we would hang out, like everybody would want to hang out with us, bro. We would have so much fun, right? And so for 10 years, man, this was my closest girlfriend, right? And she would talk to my friends. I would talk to her friends, and her friends were gorgeous. So this is 2017, right? And we reconnected in 2015, 2016. And she would come to Morristown. I would do stuff with her in Franklin or whatever. And her sister grew up. Sister was gorgeous, right? And so me and Jen were like, again, I talked to her friends, she talked to my friends. And I remember me and her, it's just me and Jen out one night. And I said to her, I was like, hey, would it be weird if I like, no, I said to her, like, would it be cool if I talked to your sister? And she didn't say no. She said it would be weird. So I'm like, okay, well, technically she didn't say no. She just said it'd be weird. This is 10 years later, by the way. Okay. Anyways, just had this like unspoken thing of like, I could tell there was like this flirtatious, like curiosity. Right. And so I ended up hitting her up. The sister ends up driving up to Morristown. We go out. I see another mutual friend. This is when I was trying to be like, I had a roommate who was like polyamorous, and I was trying to be like him, trying to like be my own version of that. It was weird time. Anyways, and mutual friend sees us out. The first thing I said to her is like, listen, we both said to her, like, do not tell Jen. Within like 24 hours, I'm getting a text from Jen. You weren't going to tell me that you were going out with my sister? Bro, I loved it. This is the first person that I actually loved unconditionally. I don't think I've loved anyone else unconditionally, truly except this girl. Man, I lost my friend that day. And that it doesn't hurt. No, it still hurts. It still hurts, bro. This is like 2017. This is 8 years later. It still hurts, man. Because I crossed that boundary. I crossed the line because I wanted to be liked. And who knew? Who knows? Maybe me and Jen actually would have. Maybe that could have actually grown into something. Because I don't know why she would stop actually being my friend. If she thought I was a good guy, I would think she'd think I was good for her sister. But there was something there. I crossed the boundary, bro. Have not seen her since, man. It hurts. So, and I say that to say it's not always that little quick hit, man. It's not always worth it. And if I could take that back, if I could keep that friend and like what she did for my life, oh my gosh, I would take that back in a heartbeat.
I feel you. Yeah.
So one of many stories.
I'm glad you got the clarity from that, the lesson from it. But yeah, no, I'm sorry you lost that friend. I've lost plenty of friends through my life. I don't think I have like an experience quite on that level, but I've definitely like cross boundaries with friends, like, and like blurred lines that like didn't need to be. But it brought up like how I mentioned that I feel like we had the exact same dating experience where this last woman I dated was also Colombian. I also met her on a trip. I was not leading it or organizing it. I was just there. It was this retreat, and she was the first person that I ever did a true double take and like to say hello. I was like on a mission to do something, spotted her, and like I'll snap my neck looking back and like just completely stop what I was doing and walk straight to her and was like, "Hi," that's an her. And then like the connection was very, very strong, very quick. And everything inside of me was like really wanting to like get to know this woman. I want to date this woman. I want to see what's here. And she was down to see what it was, and be there with me on the trip. But like, when we were doing group things, we were very much, no, we're doing this retreat thing. We're not here together. We're here as our individuals. And then we got time alone. We then spent time together. And I thought it was really beautiful. But like, she brought up something early on while we were still on this trip that she wasn't too sure whether or not I was like fully over my ex-wife. And I really thought I was. I didn't really understand what or why she was bringing it up and why she felt that way. And looking back, I felt that she wasn't fully over her ex-husband. And I brought that up to her as well. The reason I'm mentioning this is because she was the one that was like, maybe we should be friends. Yeah, I was kind of like, no, I don't want to be friends with you. I want to like, really try this out and like, see what this is. And like, I kind of pushed for it in that way. I was, why don't you want to at least want to give this a shot? Clearly, we have this like amazing connection. We both make each other laugh. We're both on this same spiritual path. We're both very much into fitness. We both, a lot of those little things that was really making it seem like this is in alignment. And looking back now, while she did really help propel my spiritual growth exponentially, because I mean, this time last year, no, sorry, this time 2 years ago, about when I met her, I had just kind of started in earnest. I'd been learning things for quite a long time, but really starting to try to apply them. I was like baby steps in. And so dating her did catalyze a lot of that, which I'm really grateful for. But through the relationship and then through everything that happened, not only me hurting her, but then me getting hurt right after the relationship as well, after we kind of tried again, kind of didn't. I'm seeing more and more that I could have had just a really dope friend because like we made each other laugh so easily and it was so nice. There was even one moment that we had been on the phone after the breakup and it was just a catch up call. Or sorry, we had like sat down with each other and like eaten together. And then when we went back, I didn't know whether or not to call her to make sure that or to text or call her to make sure she had gotten home because we had been in the space of like, don't talk to each other. And she ended up calling me and was kind of like, you should really call or like that's the polite thing, which I knew, but I was unclear about our space. But on that call, we started making like, I threw out some jokes around that whole thing and I made her laugh. And then she was just kind of like, man, can we hurry up and be friends? I miss you. Like, I miss you as a friend.
Mm.
And I was still in the space of, yeah, no, that's not what I want. And now I'm in this space of, I do miss her friendship, but also I'm not ready to be friends with this woman. She's the first ex I've ever had, and I've been married. She's the first ex that I've had that I've blocked on social media because I don't want to see her. I do not want to see her popping up. I don't even want the little likes that pop up when on mutual things. I don't even want to see that. Because we really needed that separation, that time to heal. But what I'm looking at is like, man, what if we had just kept it in a friend space the whole time and never dated? There's always that chance that we could have just simply, she still could have catalyzed my spiritual growth, but in a healthier way, in a less painful way. So was it really worth getting to be with her for a little while? Is it really worth the one night hookup? Is it really worth the short term things when you could have something deeper just by accepting that, yeah, this can be a friendship? So I finally hit this point of recognizing that, yeah, I just want to be with one person, truly be in a relationship with one person. Meaning that there are 7,909 or 7,999,000,000 blah 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 of people that it's not. The likelihood is the person that I might be interested in probably isn't the person. So why jump into it? Why jump into something just because I'm slightly interested when statistically even it's probably not the person. So take my time, take your time and like ease into it. And it's already seemed to have such a bigger effect. And now I'm looking back just thinking like, damn, what if I had known that and been in that space 2 years ago when I met her? What would be different? What could have been different? Could have just had a cool friend. But now it's like, oh, well, I got a lesson. And somebody that I blocked on social media.
I think, the lesson was definitely there for a reason. And I think what's coming up for me is sacred, like keeping it sacred and the importance of keeping these connections with ourselves, with women, keeping it sacred. And it's like if we really, you know, if we really want to build, I know I really want to be a part of building a better society, a society that's more conscious, that's more God-centric, where there's a God-based government, where that's based off of what do you call it? Self-actualization and ascension and all these beautiful things, eating healthier foods and living more in community, sharing resources, all these things. And it's to be able to do that, like to get to a point where like a community of all of us living together. I have this vision like, oh, that people from Creatorhood and different communities all living together. To get to that point, man, it's just starting with our one-on-one friendships with women or, just be able to keep that sacred. What does it look like when you got a whole bunch of attractive spiritual people living together in the same community? Wow, what type of command and communication and understanding of ourselves and each other will we need to have to be able to live in cohesion without there being all this cross pollination and chaotic bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine that?
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine you
Okay.
got me and you got 50 people, guys like me and you got 50 girls like the two Colombian girls that we were dating, all living together. Like, can you imagine that? You know what I'm saying? Of course, there's differences, but it's wow. Now everybody's beautiful. Everybody. So just starting here with one on one to keep things sacred, man. Like wow, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love
Um,
that. I love that way of putting it, keeping it sacred. Because I mean, it was Sacred Sons that really brought my attention to what is sacred.
Mm.
And I'm trying to remember exactly before I say it, but I think it was Adam Jackson. It wasn't
Mm.
his definition, if I'm remembering correctly, but it was a definition
Mm.
that had stood out to him. And it stood out to me when he repeated it. He was saying he had everyone go around and define sacred. And like he would,
Mm.
when he said it, he was like, you're all right, because sacred is very much what it is to you on an individual level. And he's like, my favorite definition that I've learned is from somebody else, and it's what I've kind of adopted, is like, how intentional can you be with every moment and every action of your life? And I love that. And since learning that, I've really been applying that as often as I can. And I mean, I have my slip ups, I have my challenges where I'm really not being all that intentional. And I just simply have to have grace for myself and come back to it. Like, okay, it's okay. It's still all learning. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. One reason why I like that we named this podcast Building Consciousness is because I feel like it's a little hat tip to that. I'm still learning. You're still learning. Neither of us are trying to say, look, we have all the answers. Come listen to us. It's very much just like, no, I'm on my journey. These are things that I've learned so far, and these are things that I'm trying out, and these are things that I'm working on.
Mm.
Still got plenty of flaws, pushing on through.
I love that. Thanks for tuning in to Building Consciousness with Jaguar and Jay, where we explore spiritual concepts and aim to break them down in a practical way for everyday use. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on future content. If you have thoughts or questions, drop a comment below or connect with us on Instagram, jdoss545 and build_with_Jaguar. We love to hear from you. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and remember, we are the authors of our own reality. This is Jaguar and Jay, signing off.